She know how to say yes, daddy. Good girl, she know how to make a man happy. She a short queen, but she get a little scrappy. Watch out for this girl.
Just want to make a short little video on a follow-up video from my last video about Genesis 2:18 and how the woman is designed to test the man. And I want to take it to Genesis 3, where the fall happens and how God addresses the serpent, the woman, and the man. I want you to pay attention to how different it is, how God deals with the man, the woman, and the serpent very differently. When God speaks to the serpent, he says, because you have done this, this is what's going to happen. And then the woman, he just says, I'm going to greatly multiply your pain during childbirth, child rearing. And then he goes to the man and says, because you did this, because you listened to the voice of your wife, this is going to happen, okay? So I want you to notice what isn't there, okay? What isn't there is assigning blame to Eve. So does she suffer as a natural result of Adam's choice? Absolutely. I mean, we even see that in Ezekiel, where the women and children perish as a result of the men's wickedness. So we see that Eve suffers because of Adam's decision. But I want you to think about this, is that in light of Genesis 2:18, where I've shown you that it's Eve's design to test man, to test his leadership, and to force him to grow by testing him and pushing back against him, that what she did in the garden was actually what she was designed to do. So God gave Adam boundaries, and Adam gave Eve boundaries, and those boundaries were from God, and it was Adam's job to give the boundaries and enforce the boundaries, and Adam did not do that. It was Eve's job to try and push back against Adam to make him a better leader. So I want you to think about this. Why did God not say, because you've done this? He didn't tell Eve it's because you did anything. Eve was deceived. We even see that Paul says Eve was beguiled. Adam was not. Adam willfully went into sin. Eve did not. Eve was deceived. But if Adam was doing his job, he wouldn't have let her be deceived. That's the point. That Adam messed up because Eve was pushing back, and instead of doing what God wanted, he listened to the voice of his wife, meaning listen in Hebrew means to hear or to listen means to do something with the intent to obey it. So his intent to obey his wife, and he did obey his wife. She gave to him and he ate also. There is this same mechanism that is still being played out today, that the man's desire is to appease and to please the woman versus obeying God. But yet the woman's not happy unless the man is actually obeying God and enforcing his boundaries. But I just wanted to bring light to this, that Eve was actually doing, I believe that what we're seeing in Genesis 3:16 is God not holding the woman accountable. I believe what's happening is that God is saying, now that obviously there's a fallen state, that the way she was created to naturally push back against Adam so that he can lead, that leadership has to be tested, that now there's going to be a fallen nature behind that push. So it's no longer going to be more of an innocent pushback, but it's going to have a fallen aspect to it, which means control. You know, your desire shall be contrary. The thing is that Eve is doing what she's supposed to be doing. That's the whole point, is that Eve's doing what she's supposed to be doing. Sin is going to make that natural way that God made her is going to be more difficult now. It's not going to be as innocent as it was before the fall. I do believe the innocent state of woman was not a domineering, controlling pushback. It was more of a an innocent, like a child tests their parent. Obviously, a child isn't deliberately trying to control and manipulate and all those things. But I do believe that the original state of woman was to test and to push back. And then we see after the fall, just like Genesis 4:7, that sin's desire is to control you. It's to manipulate you and control you, but you must learn to rule over it. I do believe the fallen state of woman came as it came as a result of Adam. Had Adam refused the fruit, had Adam refused whatever it was that was going on there in the garden, had Adam not taken part in it, I think things would look drastically different. But I believe that God did design marriage this way. God designed us to actually, he knew we were going to fall. He knew that we were going to do this. And it was for us to experience so that we could choose between him and choose the other option, which was disobedience. But I mainly wanted to just focus on the idea that Eve was designed to test Adam in the same way you think that children test their parents, push the boundaries, and that's what makes good parents, is to enforce those boundaries and to have to deal with the repercussions of doing that. You'll have unhappy children at times. You'll have children that are unhappy with you. But the whole idea is that you can't be a good parent unless you're tested. You can't be a good leader unless you're tested. And I believe Eve was doing what she was designed to do. And I think that's why God did not hold her accountable and say, because of this, because you did this, I believe that's on Adam. But I do believe it affected her as well. The fallen state did affect her through Adam. It did affect her. But I just thought that was an interesting aspect. That God never says, because you did this. He only says that to the man and to the serpent. So, food for thought. What if Eve was just doing her job? What if that pushback in the garden was just a natural order of things that God designed her to do that? And like what it says in Genesis 2:18, which I think is exactly what, I think that's exactly what it was. Eve was doing her job. She was pushing back, and Adam failed miserably. And it's always been man's job to be a head covering to his wife. It's always been the man's job to be able to deal with the pushback and to learn to be a good leader and not to cave in to what the woman wants and to do whatever she says. It's his job to enforce the boundaries. So I think this is just more evidence. And tell me what you think in the comments.
Savage. She work out so her body, you just gotta have it. She all about fitness, baby, we gon' start a habit. Cardio, here we go, yeah, we